Hey, what is going on, guys? Heart Pirates TCG here with my boy VV Theory. Say hi, my buddy, my friend.
What's up, guys? Back with another video.
Another video. So, hey, real quick before we get this video started, I am hosting a massive tournament with thousands of dollars in prize support. The link. All the info was made in a previous video. The link to my Discord is down below, and if you go to the tournament or the event details tab, you'll see all of the breakdowns for it. So if you want to join, feel free to join the Discord. And without further ado, let's talk about the purpose of this video. Right after we started doing our little commentary that James and I do, VV Theory likes to do. VV Theory's name is James, so I'm going to call him James. But,
That's right. Yeah.
We got in a very good, interesting topic off camera that we wanted to kind of bring on camera. And the topic was, what do we do about the leaders of the past that have no identity? And James, do you have anything to say on that before we get started?
Exactly. It's just a tragedy. We see all these really cool leaders, and especially like what you see on the screen, all these alt arts, and then there's almost no reason to run them.
Yep. So we came up with 15 different, we're going to full screen this. We came up with 15 leaders who have absolutely no identity or synergy at all. And we're going to talk about each one of them, and we're going to figure out, maybe not each one of them, but we're going to figure out just what to do with these as a whole. Because if everything's going how it is going now, we're not going to have any form of rotation, and we're not going to have a reliable ban list. What do we do about these colors that have no identity or synergy at all? James, do you want to get started on this?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the first thing I want to talk, there's two like major things, but the first thing I want to talk about right away is, look at the bottom right of the screen where it says for Navy. So the first one there, like, how do I say this? The first thing to look at is there are 4 cards that share the same type that all struggle with this identity. Does that make sense? We're like, and I'm sure we'll go into this into more detail, but there's all these Navy leaders and they're very cool. They just don't quite work out. They don't quite have the synergy you find in like a Straw Hat deck, and we do actually have 2 Straw Hat crews we'll talk about, but they get outclassed. And I think we should talk about that too, Joey, is like maybe 2 decks in particular here catch my attention with Odin and Sanji, where they kind of just get outclassed by something like Doflamingo generating.
I actually can we talk about the Navy decks first, because that's actually the best example possible. Okay, guys. Absolutely. So if you've been following this game for a while, I've been playing since set 1, and when set 2 came out, Black was Navy, right? Black was the KO deck. Black, its entire purpose was to KO cards based on cost. And then Blue came out with 3,000 Worlds in set 3, and then Red Rock in set 4. And obviously Blue already had like Mihawk and whatnot, but that was pretty much the only form of bottom deck removal that the game had, right? Blue's identity was bouncing cards back to hand, returning them to the hand. And we've seen that every Black deck, its main mechanic, which is KO, it no longer works. It is no longer a valid form of removal because, one, there's so many cards that protect against it. Like we see the new Rosinante character in set 5. We see Sabo, we see Fukuro, Borsellino, all of that. But not only do you have to discard cards to KO things, which is automatically like a -1, you have a completely different color that does that job, except for significantly better. And we've seen that now with Sakazuki in set 5. Now Blue is now the Navy deck, right? Blue has Borsellino, the character. Right. It has Blazehound. It has all of these cards that efficiently remove cards and put them at the bottom of the deck with no cost required, and sometimes even Blazehound gives you bottom decks and gives you a plus 3,000 boost. You want to talk about that, James?
Absolutely. Yeah, everything Joe's saying, 100%. And like the other thing too is like, notice what they did with the color combination here. Like Blue and Black, like you said, and we've talked about this before off camera probably, it has a certain synergy to it where, okay, Black can reduce cost. Well, Blue, bottom decks based off cost. Okay, that's really, really solid. But now let's take that same logic and apply it over to Garp. Sorry, but Red KOs based off power and Black off of cost. So it just becomes a dead leader. Like and that's not to say, I know people were winning a little bit with Garp at a local scene. It's not to say none of these leaders can do anything, especially at a local level. It's just to say that the reason we don't see more of them is that they just lack overall synergy.
Yeah, and not even just synergy. It's just mechanics of the past that they obviously didn't account for. And the reason this is a problem, guys, for those of you guys who might not have like picked up on this, but the reason it's a problem is because anytime any support is released for purple, let's say, because purple still doesn't really have an identity at all. I think James talked about this in another video, but purple pretty much has no identity. Black has finally started to kind of find its identity with like getting cards out the trash and trashing cards and whatnot. So like Lucci kind of has that identity, but like not really. Like Lucci doesn't really like do anything special other than like having like the access to air door. So he's the only leader on here that like could eventually possibly come off this list. But like getting cards out of the trash now, how does that affect Smoker? Because like you're still like discarding cards to KO things, and like you can get stuff out the trash with Mancherry and Rebecca and whatnot, but like it still doesn't account for Smoker having to discard cards to begin with. Like exactly. for him to have like solid removal, it's just like Great Eruption, and then he plays Sakazuki and then discard a card. That's 3 cards, and of course you can get him back, but like that doesn't really help him that much. So like anything that like is trash related from this point on is not gonna involve any of these leaders, right? So like Sakazuki, the character, or I'm sorry, the leader right here, it doesn't have anything that in the future that is going to be released that is going to be synergized for the new black decks and the old black decks. So now it's like, okay, do we like release support for like the old black decks that have pretty much no interaction with the trash, or do we just like discontinue support forever?
Here's the one thing I think that can save what Black is doing currently. If they were to create a stage, right, it would have to be a Navy type stage specifically for this case, or I think it'd probably be broken in other areas. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it'd be used in other areas, but if they made it Navy only, think if there was a stage that said, anytime you trash one of your Navy cards through a Navy effect that you did, like your own Navy effect, they'd word it better than I'm saying it, obviously, then you get to draw a card. So that's pretty cool. Cycle. Like that would be the only way. You know what I mean? And by the way, that's one thing we should mention too, Joey, after that, or I know we were probably going to take it this direction anyway, is there, I feel like, and I think me and you both agreed on this off camera, that Smoker can be fixed just by making him a -2 with his action. Instead of just the -1.
I mean, I still don't think he's fixed because their entire mechanic is like negging, and like the way the game is, and like every card matters, and every deck just has like so many advantages that like just like discarding cards doesn't allow. So like I don't like it'll get better, but I still think like its entire purpose has been discarded. Like there is now 0 reason to play Smoker.
Well, and let me ask you this. I'm sure everyone's had their inner conversations, whoever's listening, with their own little inner groups about Red Rock. What if Red Rock was instead a 6-cost black event that KO'd any character in the game? You know what I'm saying?
See, that would be better.
Yeah, because then like we're saying, it would give us a reason to run some of these black cards. Like, yeah, it gets around the cost reduction thing that black is built around, but soon we know Black is going into discard or trash, self-mill or whatever you want to call it, graveyard recursion. But like that's something that I think should have existed for Black, but giving it to Blue, it was like, whew, that spiked their power.
So now Blue just has so many cards that just can get can remove for free, and Black is struggling to do that at all. Because even if they can cost minus, they can't kill things because like a lot of stuff can't be KO'd now, with all the support coming out. So that's one problem. And then we have cards like Kaido, right? Which like Kaido is like the cost minus, like the Dawn minus stuff like makes sense, but like not like purple really doesn't have an identity other than cost minusing, because the whole point of cost, or I'm sorry, not cost, the whole point of Dawn minusing is to have really powerful effects that like the drawback is you're losing Dawn, right? So like that's why Kaido was so good. It's like, okay, I'm gonna trash your life, but it's gonna cost me 7 Dawn. That's a lot, right?
It's wild.
You know, Rush Kaido, I'm going to play this rush character that has a lot of impact, but it's going to cost me 5 Dawn. Now they're playing so many, like there's so many cards that are like even more impactful than like almost all of Purple's cards, and you don't have to minus Dawn at all. For example, like the reason that Purple Luffy is falling off in Japan is because it only has 2 cards that are realistically even impactful. It's 7 cost Kid and 9 cost Kaido. Everything else is either too slow, like Douglas Bullet, or doesn't do anything at all, like Promo Kaido or like their vanillas. Like what does Purple have? Like Magellan, I guess, but like Magellan is too easily removed. So Vivi actually had another video about this, about like how wait, I actually just lost my train of thought.
No, yeah, talking about Purple and like land KO or Dawn.
Yeah,
KO.
yeah, that's exact. Thank you. That's actually exactly where I was going. How Purple's identity should be in the future, like destroying Dawn, right? Like minusing your opponent's Dawn, or like minusing your Dawn and your opponent's Dawn, something like that, right? And then gaining effects based on like Dawn minusing. But like we're kind of seeing, I mean, I haven't really looked too much into set 6, and like maybe they're going a different way, but if they're not going that way, what is Purple going to do? And we keep coming back to the same question, is how are they going to keep releasing support for these 15 leaders that don't have anything to do with the color's future archetypes, right? And exactly. And I know people got mad at me when I questioned when I said we should have rotations to avoid this, and people are like, well, because we like to have so much diversity, we like to have the option of playing these leaders. Guys, these leaders are like dead in the water. Like, who is playing Uta? Who is playing Sakazuki? I haven't seen a Sanji since it came out. Like
somehow that alt art card, by the way, is still like, I think it's like $70.
That's crazy. I mean, yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, dude, like we haven't seen these characters since or these leaders since they came out, and you always have the option of playing them, but like, why would you ever, right?
Right. Especially in the case of, like we were saying earlier. Well, and I got too carried away. Like with Odin and Sanji, why would you play this card? These leaders, when green purple just kind of does their effect better. Like Sanji, I guess you could argue, has access to blue, but Odin only has access to green. And I mean, yeah, it can be more offensive, right? Because you're getting it as an activate main to get the 2 Dawn, but you're trashing a card. Again, that's almost like an outdated concept in this game, wouldn't you say, Joey? Like this idea of like, okay, I'm going to trash a card to get value.
Oh, yeah.
Unless it's just something insane.
Yeah, you know? You rarely ever see that. And then what I wanted to talk about, sorry, okay, full screen. What I wanted to talk about too is it's like Odin, the only reason he has any value at all is because his name is Kazuki Odin, and there's like certain cards that revolve around him. Yeah, but like when you think about it, Kazuki Odin trashes a card like that, and it's specifically a Wano card, to get back 2 Dawn, when green purple Doflamingo literally just gets him back for free at the end of the turn. So it's like, what is that? Like, we have to keep releasing, like, Odin can probably be fixed just because his name, like, there's a lot of cards already that have, like, if your name is Kazuki Odin or whatever, to fix this. But, like, it still doesn't, like, it has to be specifically for Odin, which is a deck that came out, like, literally 5 sets ago at this point. So they're going to have to keep releasing generic support for Kazuki Odin. And even then, I don't think anything's going to happen, because he has to trash a card for his leader effect to do anything, which leads us to our next point about, like, actually, maybe we can make a separate video about, like, stages and whatnot. So I don't really want to go too heavy into that. But let's talk about another leader that has pretty much no synergy: the Blurple Crocodile and the Blurple Kaidos. Now, Crocodile, since set 1, I think this has been a common saying, how blue Crocodile should have been the draw effect when you activate an event, and Blurple Crocodile should have been the Dawn -4 bounce a character with 5, right?
Absolutely.
That would make sense, right? But
makes 1,000,000% more sense.
Exactly, because the Dawn minus is a purple effect. So why does blue have it? I think it was literally just an error, and people are like, well, let's just roll with it because we don't want to reprint it. Yeah, too late. Like, because that's the only thing that makes sense, right? But so that's for Crocodile, right? Crocodile, you have, like, there's no synergy for that, right? But even more so, we can point out that Blurple Kaido has no synergy at all, right? So when you think about it, what does blue do? Blue bottom decks or bounces or draws cards. Purple, the whole point of Purple Kaido or Blurple Kaido is to KO things to ramp Dawn. you're not doing any of that with, like, nothing is helping your goal for that deck in the blue engine. Now they printed like the searcher for Kaido, but they made it a blue searcher just to give value to this Blurple Kaido. But like realistically, that should have been a purple searcher. Everyone knows that. Like there's no reason Who's Who should be a blue searcher, because there's only like 3 Animal Kingdom cards in the game that are blue. It's like Sasaki and like, I don't even know, like probably like
Soon
what page, there's like page 1. Yeah, like maybe like, I'm sorry. Yeah, page 1. But anyway, so like all the good blue support that we're getting doesn't matter with Kaido at all. Like Kaido just wants to KO things. I guess the only reason that like Kaido like kind of works Blurple is because Who's Who can search for Onigashima. But like some people don't even want to play Onigashima because you like need to use your leader effect to ramp. So it's like like so much like inconsistency in the game with like characters. And even I'll let you talk about Black Yellow Big Mom, James. I know that's your baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But,
and real quick, can I go on Blurple Kaido?
Yeah, yeah, please.
I think you absolutely nailed it with like, okay, think about it. Blue and purple, okay, and then his effect is dawn times 1, your turn, once per turn, when your opponent's character is KO'd. Well, blue is bottom decking and bouncing. Like, I know purple has some KO, I get it, but you know, purple also has some bottom deck. Like, look at Top Knot. And then in OP06 way in the future, guys, spoiler, there's going to be another card that's basically 3,000 Worlds coming out for Germa 66. And it's like, okay, that's just anti-synergy with what he's trying to do.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like if a card like Top Knot existed, but instead of bottom decking it KO'd, it'd be so much more useful, right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
I'm tired of
sense.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm just tired of like all of these like purple cards bottom decking or something like that, and then the blue cards like bottom decking too, but like that's their supposed like identity is blue is like, it used to be the draw, like, okay, you have to make sure you have this many cards in hand based on like cards like Love Mellow, right? Or like if you have this many cards in hand, like promo law from set 1, that, you know, if you have this many cards in hand, you take a life, right? It's like a revolve around cards in hand, controlling the hand size, things like that. Now it's just bottom decking. So like the bouncing thing is like completely gone away with. No one bounces anymore, and if it bounces, it's probably not a good card that people are going to use in the future. So I'll let you take away Black Yellow Big Mom now, because I know you probably have some thoughts on that.
Yeah. So Black Yellow, you know, Charlotte Linlin here. So okay, the only reason I think this deck can even perform as well as it does, and which is not saying much by the way, but as well as it does, is because of the color pools. That's about it, and it has access to obviously one of the strongest 10 drops in the game. Charlotte Linlin, the 10 cost. And the black cards are just there for support, which is typically the case we're seeing, right? And that's another argument we've made, that black is really just this like very powerful support color because it had no identity. And you know,
and actually let me tune in real quick. Just real quick. It would be completely okay if we did multicolored leaders and some colors were literally just support colors. Like there would be no black color on its own. It was just a support color. That would be completely okay. But anyway,
that'd
go
be
on.
really interesting.
Yeah, same with purple, by the way.
Yeah, and see, and that's where we get into. I'm not going to go too far down that rabbit hole, but I completely agree. That would have been really interesting. And then you'd have the main archetypes, and then just supporting colors for them.
Yep.
I can't even go down that. That's a whole video.
Actually, we should do another video on that. That'd be cool.
That might be a whole nother one there. Yeah, but yeah. So back to Linlin. So the biggest problem is, it doesn't, the leader effect is also too expensive. That's one thing. We can even we can segue this into the red green Luffy we have on the screen here. 4 costs for a leader effect, that's your turn, right? That's half your turn at 10 dawn. And then it's like, okay, what else can you play? It puts you in this position of like, okay, I'm just trying not to lose. And we've talked about that before too, Joey, right? You know, where it's like, okay, instead of playing to win, I'm just playing not to lose at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. I've said that in so many videos. And the thing about Linlin is like, people might think that like black and yellow like kind of have synergy, but they like and maybe they do like a little bit.
Now they're making it that
way, like only because in Charlotte Linlin's case, this is the only synergy I can even see, is because like black has like some pretty decent blockers, and like you can like wall off, while like yellow like can like gain life. So like the whole point of the deck is to like sacrifice blockers to gain life, but like that doesn't do anything. Like the only combo you guys have is like Ice Age into like Yamato or like Katakuri. Those are like, yellow has no synergy with black almost at all. right?
And
Like
they are
maybe
starting to print a little
Thunderbolt,
bit.
like maybe Thunderbolt, but like,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, and there is that new card on the sim. It was called Thunderbird, the yellow 2 cost that KOs based off opponent's life, like Gadatsu. It's
Yeah.
an event. That's you see what they're trying to do. They're trying to make this idea of like, okay, we are going to KO based off how much life your opponent has for yellow. Then black will be able to combo by reducing cost. You see all the retro fixing they're doing?
Yeah.
This was not their original intent. It just happened to work this way, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe I'm wrong,
and,
but
and the problem with that is like and with James actually hit it on the head with retrograding is that
right.
like it's making decks in the future pretty much unfair, because like while they are retrograding some of these powerful effects to like help the old leaders like possibly do something, the new leaders that are just overall better will just use those cards more efficiently. So it's like no matter how much support these cards get, everything is pretty underwhelming. And then let's talk about another deck real quick. Is King right here. So King, the whole purpose of, and King might be the biggest one actually. The whole purpose of purple is to Dawn minus to like gain powerful effects. King's literal whole thing is if you have 10 Dawn, right? So like even cards like think about it real quick. I'm sorry. Let me laugh at that real quick. Its whole purpose is to have 10 Dawn. So now even cards like 7-cost Kid, you can't use it.
Even Queen,
because like
5-cost blocker Queen.
And blocker Queen, because like, well, more specifically Kid, because when you attack with Kid, you have to use this effect when you attack.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're
saying.
And
when you attack, you're at 9 Dawn. So the thing that you attack into is now back to its original form of plus 1,000. So it's like, but obviously you can like Onigashima it after the attack, but like it's still like not really like that. What if that 1K really mattered, you know? And then same with like Kaido and like in Queen and like all these cards that cost minus. Like you can't really like it like doesn't really fit yet like Purple's identity. So like. King would have been better if he was like, I mean, I don't even think he could really be any other leader, honestly.
I did think of this.
Maybe red?
Well, no. So here's the thing. I've talked about this in a previous video. Purple, in my opinion, red. So let me say this first. Red should have been buffing and power plus type of effects, buffing a character. In my opinion, purple, instead of this Dawn negative stuff and whatever they're going now, it should have been minus power to things. Now imagine this, Joey. What if King was Garp but for power? So every 1 Dawn you return, every 1 Dawn you return minus 1,000 to a character. Like now all of a sudden you have an extremely powerful effect. Like, are you going to sack all your Dawn to try and get rid of their character? Because now you're set back just to KO that one character. You see what I'm saying? Like I feel like that
actually would be pretty cool. Actually, now that I think about it, that would be awesome. So you're saying he'd be like red, purple?
That'd be fine. Sure.
Yeah.
That'd be fine too.
Where
all of a sudden, because it is a detriment. I don't care what anyone says. Because I've played a lot. I mainly play black decks, but I've played a lot of purple and like red, purple, all kinds of purple, especially on the sim. And going back Dawn, it almost always ends up being a pain in the neck, man. Where it's like, oh gosh, now I'm behind.
Exactly, and like people don't realize it, but like all of the cards that you use don't matter. Like any purple card you use other than like Kaido or Kid like is completely useless. There's no like, if I see someone playing Magellan, unless I'm playing a deck that like needs my Dawn, like Katakuri or like ST10 Law, if I see someone playing Magellan, I just think it's a free win, because it's like I don't care that like you minus 1 of my Dawn. That's all you're doing the entire game. Is just like minusing 1 Dawn and being kind of annoying. There's nothing that you have that's like actually scary. Oh, you're gonna play Little Sadie and a Minotaur? Okay, well, like I'm gonna just like
ignore it.
Like ignore it. Yeah, like it doesn't matter. Like
swing over it.
Yeah, like you just got rid of 2 cards in hand. Like it's just stuff like that, right? And then another deck that like kind of doesn't really make sense is Isho, where it's like black cost minuses, and like I understand green rest characters based on costs, and like sometimes can KO in terms of like there's only 2 cards I even know that KO based on cost. It's X-Drake and Demon Face from set 1, right?
And then Killer.
And then then Killer.
The 3 cost.
Yeah. But like those cards aren't very good. right? So like
No.
you're like the whole point of this deck is to like what is it like have some super expensive combo where like we like cost minus and then like play an X-Drake from hand, a 5/6, that's your ace in the hole. Like it just doesn't do anything. So like
and hope their character's tapped.
yeah, and hope their character's tapped too, which is like just like another thing. Like and like you don't have the Dawn to like cost minus, rest a character, and tap it. Like it just doesn't like it's like your whole turn to like kill one character and then like set up like some measly board. So like I guess guys, we don't want this video to go too long because we kind of talked about all the leaders, but like now we get to the point of how do we fix it? And James, do you want to go first here? Do you have an idea?
Where do you want to start? Like with a specific leader, or like with the idea of just
in general? I don't want the video to be like an hour and a half, but just
gotcha.
I know you and I can talk about anything for hours, but in general, how do we fix this?
I honestly think that there will be block rotations. I know people don't want to hear that, but we have all the glimpses of it with the bottom right of each card where it shows a little devil fruit.
Yep.
And I think some of these are going to rotate out in the future, and that, in my personal opinion, given the state of the game, I think that's going to be the best. How do I say this? Like that will be the cleanest way to fix this problem, because otherwise they're just dead cards, right? Because I know what some people are going to say, Joe. They're going to be like, well, what's wrong with it? It's like, what's a dead card? What do you mean what's wrong with it?
It's unhealthy for the game, especially cards, especially decks like Nami, because like Nami, every set that is released has cards that like if your leader is multicolored, do this, right? Because it can't like they don't want like some random deck like Nami to abuse it, right? So like these decks literally existing is causing an imbalance in future sets and a limitation on the cards that can be created. And another huge problem with this is well, actually, I don't want to talk about that. Let me talk about this. Let me talk about my solution for it. Very very similar in Hearthstone, where we have a neutral card pool. Well, just a neutral card pool. I think that there should be, in order to keep cards from being like completely busted, like we see coming up in the future, there should be a neutral card pool of objectively fair cards. Cards like brilliant. Yep, cards like for example, you can always have access to 10 cost Kaido board wipe. You can always have access to 9 cost Kaido.
Red Rock, dude.
Yeah, you should always have access to Red Rock. You should always have access to 3,000 Worlds. Like cards that are like just like normal cards, right? And then everything else, including leaders, should be rotated out or basically like eroded and reprinted for new sets to make them more competitive and more in line with the color archetype. For example, we errata Sakazuki, black Sakazuki, and make them like, if you have 10 cards in your trash, KO a character with a cost of 1 or less. Something like that, right? Actually, that'd be a pretty cool card, like a pretty cool card right there.
That'd be interesting, yeah.
Yeah, we errata Smoker and re-release him in like a side set if you have Dawn X1, if you have or -3 cost to a character, -2 cost to a character. If we re-release Charlotte Linlin, and her effect is if you have 8 cards in the trash, 10 cards in the trash, gain a life, right? If you have 1 or less life. Just like cards that like objectively work. We re-release Blurple Croc and just make him like I don't know, like a blue leader.
Absolutely. And can I just chime in on that? I think that neutral card pool idea, that's such a great idea. I hadn't thought about that in this game because of how they did the events. But what if the events were that? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if they made the events where, say, like, I have to mention an old card game called L5R, Legend of Fire.
Bro, he loves that game, bro. He loves that game.
They had the same idea, by the way, where, okay, so say I'm a certain color. Well, I can actually play other colors, even though my leader, which it was called a province in that game, my leader was red. It doesn't matter. I can still play blue, green, whatever in there. But guess what? They cost 2 additional resources to play. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, how interesting would that be if it only applied to events? Because like you're saying, how is Red Rock or some similar effect not available to anyone so that they have a fighting chance?
Yeah, I mean, What I meant to say was I could see that. I mean, I can't see them doing that, but
No.
I meant like every color pool like can keep certain cards. Like for example, like Kaido for purple, and then like Red Rock for blue, and cards like
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, cards like the new Gecko Maria in set 6 for black, right? Like every set can keep like certain cards like that in a neutral like. If this will always be available
but it's only for that color.
It's only for that color, but like throughout all sets, you keep those cards, right? And then maybe after like 10 sets, you get rid of everything and then like start anew, right?
See, I thought you actually meant like back to Hearthstone. Like I like that idea too, by the way. I really, because some cards should be timeless. They should be considered like ideal for what they do.
Yeah.
But in Hearthstone, there's a literal neutral card pool.
Yeah.
Like I forget what it's called.
It's just neutral, right? It's just neutral. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of. I mean, that's kind of where I got the idea from. Except for because we have colors, like neutral only makes sense because like they have like heroes, or what are they called? Are they called heroes?
Yeah, heroes. Yeah, I think so.
So they have heroes that like don't have like colors. Like, you know what I'm saying?
They're
but like
classes.
Yeah, they're like classes. But like this, because we have colors already and the cards are already existing in the way that they do, I think it would be best to just have them in a neutral format where like no matter what rotation it is, those cards will always be used for that, will always be available for that color. And then they can like basically take away all the cards that have been useless in the past, take away all the cards that have been overtuned, all the leaders that have been overtuned, and then be able to like basically start the game fresh with cards that they like, because like not every card is either unfair or broken. Like there's plenty of cards that I think are awesome, right? That like should be in the game. I think Jet Pistol's a fair card. I think Queen is a fair card. The blocker Queen. Those cards can just always exist. It just needs to be like it needs to be in a way that like they can't keep printing new cards that are just better to support old decks, because the new decks they print are just always going to be better than the old decks. So there has to be some type of rotation. It just whether they just ban every leader and card from like old sets, if that's what they want to call it, or they want to rotate it, I think that's the only fair thing to do based on the problems that we had. Because we just laid out 15 decks right now that have no synergy at all or color identity. What if in a year there's double or triple the decks that like
30 of
them, that don't have an identity because of like the way the color pool is evolving, right?
And yeah, absolutely. And don't forget too, there are also leaders that are just like that do have synergy or have like this, very strong combination within their colors, but they're still not played because they're just outclassed by better ones in that color.
Yeah.
Like Rebecca saw no play in the East in OP05 at all. I mean, like, or at least there was no recordings of it. I'm sure.
Because why would you play Rebecca when you can just play Sagazuki?
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's exactly.
And what another doomsday scenario is, what if they
like that.
Yeah, a doomsday scenario. What if they release support and forgot to check one of the 180 decks in the game and was like, oh damn it, now Nami's broken, right?
Broken.
We released this card like Moby Dick or like Kabaji, but like in the future, and now we have 7 decks that are just absolutely abusing it in the future. Like, do you just emergency ban that card? Do you emergency ban the leaders? There's so many bad scenarios that can go wrong just based on like the fact that like, unfortunately, as much as like I love this card game, it was very poorly planned. Like they did not plan ahead for like any of these cards, right? Like they maybe planned ahead for like maybe like 2 sets, like set 1, like the starter decks and OPO1, I think they planned ahead. Everything after that, they've been like, okay, we got to release this card. It's like and like didn't think about the previous sets.
Yeah, it was one of my most poorly received videos, and it was still received fine. But I said the exact same thing, that they clearly did not have certain design principles in place, and people take that as like a personal insult. It's like, well, guys, they're working to fix it. Like we all see that. Well, I mean, I think
I hope
we
so.
all assume they're trying to fix it, and it looks like the formats are getting better, especially as we approach OP06. Nothing's been figured out yet, so maybe things will get better and better.
You know what? I'm sorry. No, go on.
No, that was it.
Okay, I was gonna say they almost fixed it because OPO 4.5 has been the healthiest set we've ever had.
Oh man,
and
so
because
cool.
they banned like all of the broken cards pretty much, like they're like limited them, right? So like we had like a super diverse format for set 4.5 after the ban list, and they like almost fixed it, but then like set 5 what set 5 was like the opposite of what they should have done. Because they were planning on power creep for like the red cards, they released super broken like blue and black cards, and then they just unbanned all the red cards and was like, just fight to the death and then we'll see what happens, right? We're like monkeys, right? They're like they plan these cards to combat with red. So like the fact that red didn't exist in our meta was a problem because now they have a new broken color pool. So it's like they keep trying to like fix it and then end up like fucking it up again. Like
I just really hope they don't. No, I mean, I don't get it either. I just really hope they don't do the same thing they did in OP0, the end of OP02 and into OP03.
The bait and switch with the ban list. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to see Sakazuki banned. I don't even plan on playing him that much. I will play him a little bit, of course. You got to play each deck. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
For sure.
But like, I am so sick of like being stuck with the, what do you call it? The hand-me-downs from the East. Like, oh, sorry, guys, we've determined that Sakazuki is just too powerful. So we went ahead and just banned him for you. Now you don't get to play him. Like, I don't want to see that.
I don't want to see it either. In fact, I told someone in another video that, like, in the comments, they said, if blue and black, or if blue gets too broken in the future, would you be okay with them banning him? And I said, yes, absolutely. I don't mind if a deck is super dominant for like one format, but the fact is, if it's carrying over into every single format already in set 6, based on Vivi's video, because that's basically the extent of what I know of set 6. Sakazuki is still really good over there. Like one of the most highly represented decks over in set 6.
Really big support, guys. Yeah,
that's so like I don't mind if a deck or 2 decks or 3 decks are super dominant and there's a holy trinity in a format. The problem is when the holy trinity is super good for like 5 sets in a row, like we had with like Newgate and Whitebeard, with the same deck, Newgate and like Zoro and Law, right? And the answer is not releasing new support for other archetypes to like boost it, because it creates power creep. The answer is rotating them out. So actually, this whole video is actually part 2. I just realized this. It's actually part 2 of why we need a rotation, but with the VV theory inside the video.
Absolutely.
I literally just thought of that. Holy crap.
It is true. That's what it comes down to, right? I mean, that happens in the video, right? We're trying to hash out these ideas, try to figure out how to fix things. Not that anyone will ever listen to us, right? Like as far as the developers.
Oh yeah, no, they're never going to listen to us ever.
Yeah, they don't even speak English, I bet, right?
Yeah.
But it's just a simple matter of, it is true. A rotation, while people don't want to hear it, people don't want to hear this, a rotation is kind of the only way to fix this. And yeah, I think eventually in the future that opens up the opportunity for different formats, right? There can be like a, like, I don't know what they call it in Magic anymore, but there was a format, there's standard, which is all the current cards for the past 2 years of the game's existence. And then there are extended formats called like modern is one of them, where it's like 10 years worth of cards. Like, cool. Yeah. That'd go play your modern tournaments. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
But for the competitive stuff, you're supposed to have a limited card pool full of cards that are new, interesting, unique, and they keep giving life back to the game while remaining balanced.
Yep. And real quick before we end this video, I want to say 2 things. And it's going to be, I haven't even read the comments yet, but I guarantee it's going to say, we're going to have one comment say cry more. We're going to have another comment that's going to say, I just watched a 38-minute video of these guys crying about like leaders or something like that. And then the next comment is going to be, well, Japan doesn't have an issue. Why do we think it's an issue over here? Those are the 3 issues, right? Those are the 3 comments I guarantee we're going to get. And I guarantee they're going to comment it before they even finish the video. So guys, if you see someone comment that, actually laugh at them. Like put like skull emojis or something, because I'm telling you, we're going to get those comments. And then real quick, the answer to all of those questions, or the answer to the only question in that I asked was, Japan plays different than we do. So
very different.
Very, 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 very different. So their meta is not the Bible. It is not exactly what's going to happen. Kinemon didn't die over there in the first week like it did over here in set 2, right? Rebecca over there was actually pretty good for a little bit. Rebecca here like sucked. Like also, we had like one Rebecca in the top 16 like twice.
And it was at the very end.
Yeah, it was like at the very end. Yeah.
And here's one thing I want to say. So I heard someone mention this in one of my videos. There was a comment. It was absolutely brilliant. They said that we got to quit seeing this as like the East meta. This is where the East meta left off. So now it's like a whole new format for us almost. You know what I mean?
That's actually a really good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Brutal, but
yeah.
True.
Any closing thoughts, James?
Nope, not really. I always enjoy doing these. You know how I am, Joey. I appreciate you putting me on the
This
channel.
was actually an awesome video. I think this was great. I think we hashed out our grievances. I think we explained exactly why these decks have no synergy or support or like identity at all. And I think we clearly put it. Either. What's up?
We didn't say too negative either.
Yeah, I think we clearly explained what was going on. I think we explained how to fix it and why it would be better that way. And I'm hoping people see it our way. And I'm hoping that, during the next like poll, dude, maybe even Bandai watches this. Maybe.
How cool would that be?
Right? That would be great, right? Because I think that would be very healthy for the game. And I fear that if the game keeps getting accustomed to power creep, we're going to see something how we saw in Dragon Ball Z, how there's no longer Dragon Ball Z, it is Dragon Ball Fusion because they're fixing the problems that the card game had. Right? We don't want to see One Piece Generations. We want to see One Piece card game. We don't want we don't want a different card game to fix the problems. If you get out ahead of the problems, we will be able to play and love and enjoy this game for a very long time.
That's right.
All right, guys. Subscribe to the VV Theories channel. It'll be linked in the description below. Of course, check out the tournament that I talked about, the thousands of dollars in prize pools. I will stream it as well on the 23rd. So if you are a little bored on the holidays, you want to sign up, or if you just want to watch a stream, that's totally okay too. Love you guys. Every single one of you has been amazing. I love this community a lot, and I'm just very excited to make more videos. So take it easy, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Peace.
Peace.